silicon crystal structure. So silicon is a very abundantly available material on the earth. 25% of earth crust is made of silicon. Basically it is available in the form of sand. Okay. So sand is chemically it is SiO2, and that is plenty available. Now to convert sand into crystal, silicon crystal, there are various steps in the process which we will look at today. But before we look at the process steps in converting sand to silicon crystal, we would like to look at what is the structure of the silicon crystal. Okay, probably everybody of you are familiar with what is called as cubic lattice. Okay, so let us look at what is called as cubic lattice. And cubic lattice are of three types: simple cubic, right? Simple cubic. Then number 2, body centered cubic, and number 3 is face centered cubic, BCC and FCC. So simple cubic means you draw a cube and put one silicon atom or one atom at each corner. So that's the simple cubic structure. Okay, so how many corners are there for a cube? There are 8 corners, and each corner you have one atom sitting. That is simple cube. Body centered cube, in addition to these 8 atoms, there is one more atom which is situated at the middle. So there is one extra atom. These are the 8 corner atoms. In addition to that, there is one more atom which is at the center of the cube. And then we have what is called as FCC. So that structure is again you consider a cube and then put atoms at the corner. So there are 8 atoms at the corner, and in addition to that you have atoms sitting at the center of each faces. There are 6 faces. So here is one face, another face, and then another 4 on the side, and then one at the bottom and one at the top. So there are atoms sitting at the center of each faces in addition to atoms at the corner of the cube. So this is what is called as FCC. Now if you look at the structure of the silicon, it is not really any of this. It's called basically diamond structure, which is basically a modified version of this face centered cubic structure. Okay, so silicon crystal structure is also called as diamond structure. Just like the way carbon atoms are arranged in the diamond, that is how the silicon atoms are arranged in silicon crystal. So here I have a picture of this silicon unit cell. Okay, so as you can see that if I compare it with what FCC which I have drawn, so you can see all these black atoms are representing the FCC lattice, and in addition to the FCC lattice, you have a second FCC lattice which is basically interpenetrating the first FCC lattice such that it is displaced, the first lattice is displaced from the second lattice by a vector a by 4, a by 4, a by 4, where a is basically this distance. Okay, so the edge length is called a. It is also called the lattice constant. It is called the lattice constant. So it's basically the edge length of the unit cell. I hope everybody know what is a unit cell. Unit cell is the smallest cell which, if you repeat throughout by translating it, if you repeat it in x, y, z direction, you will get the entire crystal. So it's like the building block of the entire crystal. So in a crystal of size, say 1 centimeter cube, there are around 10 raised to 22 atoms sitting inside, and you can build that crystal from a unit cell, and the value of this A is something like 0.5 Armstrong. It's around that. Okay, so coming to the structure of the silicon, so you have an FCC lattice, as you see here, built up of this black, all are silicon atoms, but just to distinguish between the first FCC lattice and the second FCC lattice, we are using a different color. That doesn't mean that these are different species of atoms. All are silicon atoms. Okay, so you can see corner atoms as I have drawn here, and also on the face of every side there is 6 more atoms you can see in addition to the corner atom. So that makes up the first FCC lattice. Now you can think about another FCC lattice which is built up of these green atoms or cyan color, you can see here. So that is basically interpenetrating the first. So so to see that 2 FCC lattice, let me draw it again. Okay, let me use a different color for this. Okay, so these are the 2 atoms. So the first atoms, they are sitting here. Let me show this also. So these are the corner atoms, and then there is on the side of this blue lattice and the bottom and the top face you have. So this is the first FCC lattice, and now you think about another FCC lattice which is made by this purple colored lattice. Okay, and you have to put again face centered atoms on each side, and the bottom and the top face. So just like you draw the first lattice, you draw the second lattice. Now what I am saying is that they are displaced by a distance. The origin of the first lattice and the origin of the second lattice are displaced by a vector, which is basically, this vector is basically a by 4, a by 4, a by 4. These are the coordinates in x, y and z directions. So this side is A. So you imagine, and now if you look at the green atoms, so blue atoms are belonging to the the red atoms are belonging to the blue lattice, and the green atoms are belonging to another FCC lattice which I have drawn with purple color. Now the atoms, the green atoms which are inside the first FCC lattice, that is the blue lattice, are only 4. Only 4 of them will be getting inside. The reason for that is like for every black atom there is a corresponding green atom, but it is displaced by A by 4, A by 4, A by 4. So most of this pair will go out of the unit lattice and only 4 of them will get inside. Okay, so this is basically what is called as the diamond structure. So this is also the structure of the diamond, where instead of silicon we have carbon atoms. Okay, so if you look at any particular atom, it has 4 nearest neighbors. So you can see here, if you take this green atom, so this is one neighbor. Okay, so this is one neighbor, and it is another neighbor, this. Okay, so 3 on the side, so one bottom, left, and back face you have a neighbor, and then this corner atom. So this, they form a tetrahedral shape. So you can if I join all this like this, you will have what is called as a tetrahedral shape. So this is a tetrahedral shape. So this green atom is basically sitting at the center of a tetrahedron. So tetrahedron means it is actually a shape you can create like this. So you draw a equilateral triangle, and then so this is the shape of a tetrahedron. Okay, now at the center of this you have another silicon atom which is making bond with each of the corners of the tetrahedron. So this is how another way of looking at the silicon structure. So, and this thing is repeated, but it is not, you can't basically get to the entire structure by simply translating. You have to arrange the tetrahedron in different angles, then only you can. So that's why we talk about unit cell. Unit cell means you can just translate it and reproduce the entire crystal. Now why it is important to consider the structure of this atom is because there are various planes inside the silicon crystal which becomes very important in deciding the property of the wafer. Okay, ultimately we will make a big crystal which is called wafer, which is a slice of silicon crystal. So the plane of that wafer can be one of the many planes in the silicon crystal, and for each plane, see, if you have the orientation of the crystal plane in the wafer, if it is different, then the properties will be different. So therefore certain planes are preferred over the other. So now let's talk about how to represent plane. How to represent planes and directions in silicon crystal. Okay, or in any crystal, there is a way of representing the planes and crystals, and these are by using, for example, if you want to represent a direction, then you take a vector pointing in a particular direction, and then that vector will have some components like x component, y component, z component, and then each of those components we will take and represent it in terms of lowest integer. Okay, so that is how we represent the direction in the crystal. And so the directions, for example, if I say we use a square bracket in order to represent direction. So for example 1 0 0. So this means this direction, for example, it is in the x direction. Okay, so first index stands for the x component of the vector. So if I draw a vector like this, I draw a vector like this. Okay, so suppose this is our x direction, and then this is our y direction, and then this is our z direction. Okay, so they form basically a right-handed coordinate system. So if I have a vector which is aligned in the x direction like this, then it doesn't have any component in the y direction or z direction. So therefore the y component and z component are 0, and I only have x component. So we write it with the lowest integer. So that is 1, 0, 0. Okay, so this is a vector in the x direction. So this represents x direction. And similarly, if I write 1, 0, so 0, 1, 0, this is y direction. And then similarly 0, 0, 1, that is z direction. Now you can have both, I can have 1, 1, 0. So this is like it has two components, but it doesn't have any z component. So it will be a vector in the xy plane basically. So if the vector is aligned in the xy plane, then it cannot have any z component. And it is equally aligned to x and y, that means 45 degree, making with respect to x axis. So it is like this. So you have x axis, y axis, and your vector is aligned like this. Okay, so this is 45 degree, and therefore this will also be 45 degrees. So x component and y component are same, and therefore it is 1, 1, 0. Okay, if they are not same, you will have different other numbers that will come here. So this is how we so this is like a vector in x plane, x, y plane. Okay, this is how we represent the direction. Now if you look at the first three directions, okay, so first three cases, it only has component in one direction. They can all be together called by 1, 0, 0 with a corner bracket, angular bracket. So what does this mean is that the property doesn't vary. The properties are same in properties of the crystal is same in 1, 0, 0, 0, 1, 0 and 0, 0, 1 direction. So therefore they can all be clubbed together as one group of or one set, okay, which has different property, but the property in 1, 1, 0 it will be different. Similarly, we can represent the planes. So planes in the crystal can be specified by using Miller indices. Okay, so what are Miller indices? So Miller indices are actually denoted with a parenthesis HKL. Now what are these HKL? So first of all, you consider a plane. For example, here three different planes are shown in this diagram. Okay, and what are they? So in order to get the value of HKL, which are the Miller indices corresponding to a particular plane, so there are three planes here. So I have written the Miller indices 1, 0, 0, 1, 1, 0, 1, 1, 1. Okay, now how do we get this? So the way to get it is basically, first of all, look at so we need to go in step. So number one, look at the intercepts with x, y and z axis. Okay, look at the intercept. For example, the first plane, if you consider, so what is the x intercept, what is the y intercept? This is basically a plane which is so here I think so this is your okay, so this is basically a plane parallel to x-axis. That means this is our x and this is our y and this is our z. So what you need to do, look at the intercept it makes. So with respect to x-axis, so origin is somewhere here at the bottom before this plane. Okay, and if you look at the x intercept, it is say 1. So x intercept is 1, and then y intercept it doesn't have any y intercept, or you can say that it is at infinity, because if you have a plane parallel to y axis and z axis, the intercepts are basically at infinity. So this is 1, infinity, infinity. Then what we need to do, second step is take the inverse of these intercepts. Okay, so if I take the inverse of that, I will get 1, 0, 0. Okay, and that is basically your HK. Okay, so you put it in the bracket, a parenthesis, and that is your HK. Okay. Similarly, if you look at the second case, same way you can find it out. So the second case, if I take the intercept, if I look at if this is x, it has some x intercept, so I will write it as okay, so this is our x, y, and z. Okay, so x intercept is say 1, y intercept is the y axis, so this is the y axis, so let's put it here. So this is the y axis, so it has also 1, and then there is no place it is going to intercept the z axis, so it is infinity. You take the inverse, so that will be 1, 1, 0. So that is why it is called 1, 1, 0 plane. Okay, so it may be good to put these line x, y here and z here. So the origin is where they meet. Okay, with respect to which we are looking at the intercept. Similarly here, so you can see that it has intercept 1, 1, 1. Take the inverse, you will get 1, 1. So these are called Miller indices, and certain times it may not be very obvious. Suppose we have if the intercepts becomes the x, y, and z intercepts are, for example, 3, 2, and 4. Then taking inverse, we will get 1 by 3, 1 by 2, 1 by 4. So in that case, we need to, in such cases, we need to multiply it with the LCM. Okay, so we need to, so there is a step 3 then, that is multiplying the inverse of the intercept with the the LCM of the denominator. So what we will get? So that will give you, so LCM is basically 12, So we will get basically 4, and this will become 6, and this will become 3. So this is the plane. This is going to be the Miller indices of this plane. So if the x-intercept is 3, y-intercept is 2, and z-intercept is 4, then the Miller indices is 4, 6, 3. Okay, so you have to take into account of one more step like this. Okay, so now as I told you, ultimately any of these planes can be the plane of the wafer. Okay, so wafer is basically a so let me little bit discuss about wafer. Okay, wafer is basically what? It is a slice. It's a planar structure. It's a slice of silicon crystal. So the entire wafer is basically one crystal, okay, which is made into a planar structure. So a crystal in a planar structure is what we call as a wafer. Now the typical sizes you can either talk about the size in inches, or you can talk about in centimeter. So 2 inch means 5 centimeter, or it could be 4 inch, that means 10 centimeter, or it could be 8 inch, which is basically 20 centimeter. You just multiply it with 2.5 to get the corresponding centimeter dimension, and then 12 inch. Okay, so nowadays what is most common is this 30 centimeter wafers. Okay, there are certain ways in which we specify the there are certain ways in which we specify the the type of wafer. So okay, the wafer can have it may be doped wafer. Okay, so it may not be a pure crystalline silicon, but silicon which is doped, because we have seen that we start with the P substrate, and then if you want to create a PMOS, we create N well inside it. So that's a most common approach. So the wafer will initially be available, which is entirely one crystal but doped with the p-type impurity. So it will have because of the doping, it will have some resistivity or conductivity, which is basically its so depending upon the conductivity, maybe the doping concentration is something like 10 raised to 15 per centimeter cube. Okay, so inside the wafer. Now in order to specify whether it is a p-type or n-type, by looking at the wafer quickly, how can we know that whether it is a n-type wafer or a p-type wafer? Or secondly, what is the orientation of the surface of the wafer? Okay, which plane of the silicon crystal is actually aligning with the plane of the wafer? So these things, in order to quickly understand, what is done is that we use some cuts on the edge of the wafer. So otherwise these wafers are all circular in shape. So if you look at a wafer, it is basically a circular shape like this. Okay, it may not be a good circle. It's okay. So this is a wafer. So this is the plane of the wafer. Okay, and so we are talking about what is the Miller indices of this plane. Okay, so the plane where the wafer is so it will have some thickness which is very small, okay, which it may be something like less than a millimeter. Okay, so very thin, but the size which I specified here, 30 centimeter, it is basically the diameter. So these are the diameters. Okay. So this is now how do we know that this is made of p type or n type? So for that we need to show something physically in order to look at and easily identify the type of wafer, and also which is the plane of the wafer. So the mostly used wafer are having Miller indices of 100. Okay, that means the plane which is aligned to either x, y or z. Okay, so 100, since it has common property. Okay, so 100, this is 100. Now instead of x, if you take it as y, the plane of the wafer, then also it has the same property. So you can specify the group of like with a curly bracket, just like we have grouped the directions because the properties were same with a angular bracket. So in order to group the planes, we are basically using curly brackets. So because the properties along x direction, y direction, z direction, they are all same. We'll come into how the property varies in a moment, but before that let me just tell you something with which we can identify this. Okay, so let me just delete this part. Okay, so what we need to do is basically, in order to identify a particular wafer, we need to introduce a cut. So cut means you will have a flat here. Okay, this circle would be going something like this, but then we will introduce a cut here. Maybe I should show this dimension outside. So this is your diameter, d equal to 30 centimeter. Okay, so now there is a cut. Okay, so this is the center of the circle, and then there is a cut here on the edge, and the cut can be either a long cut like this, or it could be a short cut. Okay, if it is a long cut, we call that cut as this cut we call as primary flat. Okay, so this is a kind of reference. Okay, now along with the primary flat, we will have a secondary flat, which is another small cut. So that could be either on this side, which is 180 degree. Okay, so this is like 180 degree. The primary cut and secondary cut are just diametrically opposite. So here we have the secondary cut or secondary flat. Okay, now if this is the case, then we should know that this is basically corresponding to a 1 0 0 plane. The plane of the wafer is 1 0 0, and secondly it is n type. Okay, so now how does a 100 p type look like? So again you have to draw introduce a primary cut. Okay, so this is the primary cut, and then I will introduce a secondary cut which is at 90 degree. Okay, so secondary cut is here. They are at an angle 90 degree. So you have, this is 100 plane with the p type. Okay, so just by looking at the wafer you know that. Okay, so if it is diametrically opposite, you say that it is 100 n type, this is 100 p type. Okay, let's see two more. Doesn't look like a circle. Okay, so suppose this is our primary cut, and there is a secondary cut. If you take it at a 45 degree angle, you make a small cut here. Quite difficult to draw. I hope you understand what I mean by all of this. So this is the primary cut and this is the secondary cut. So primary cut means the long one, secondary cut is a small one, and this is having an angle 45 degree. So this is basically 111 plane n time. Okay, so what we are basically changing is the angle, and then one more. So most of the wafer that are used are one of the four. There is a reason why other planes are not taken into account, which we will see. Okay, so this is having no secondary cut. There is no secondary cut here. So if you take a wafer, you don't see any secondary cut, then know that this is basically, so this is primary flat. It has only primary flat. So this is basically 111 p time. Okay. So these are some examples. There are also other cases like 110, but it is very rarely used. Most popular one is basically 100, the first two. Okay, so they will have cuts either 180 degree or 90 degree. And then secondly, the next mostly used case is 111, and the reason, there is a reason for why we are preferring 100. Okay, and so for that, to see that, you need to again go back to this diagram where it is talking about the different planes. So if you look at the 100, we need to find out what is the number of atoms per unit area. So it is basically surface density of atoms. Okay. Surface density of atoms. So silicon atoms are there. So if you look at the look at this first figure, so you can see that in this square, the area of this square this plane is basically a square, because one edge is a, so it is a cube, so all edges are same size, so area is a square, area of one face is a square, and how many silicon atoms are inside it. Okay, so you need to think about it as a regular structure. We are only looking at one unit cell face, and therefore this each atom at the corner is actually shared by 4 such squares belonging to other units. So 3 are belonging to other unit cell, and only 1/4 is only belonging to this unit cell. Okay, so let me maybe show that explicitly. So if I take so if I divide the entire area like this into different squares, so there is one atom sitting here, so it is shared by many unit cells. Okay, so only this much portion is only belonging to this particular unit cell, so it is only 1/4. So effectively in a square area, so for 1, 0, 0 plane, density, surface density, okay, density is equal to the number, that is 4 into 1/4 divided by area, which is a square. Okay, so that is basically okay. Well, there is one more, which is because there is a face centered cubic, so there is one more here, so we need to add that also. So plus, that is completely belonging to this unit cell, so there is one belonging to this unit cell, and similarly for all other unit cells. So when we are looking at a particular unit cell face, so there is 1/4 coming from each corner, and then one full which is at the face. All other atom in the unit cell are not belonging to this particular plane. So this is basically 2 by a square. Okay, and then so maybe I will copy this one more. So this is our different planes. So 1, 0, 0 we have seen. Now if I look at 1, 1, 0. So 1, 1, 0 is this rectangle. So it's not a square, it is basically a rectangle. So this side is basically A, and this side is also A, but this is basically root 2A. Okay, A diagonal will be root 2A, and similarly this is also root 2A. So the area of the rectangle is basically root 2A into A, so that is root 2A square. Now we need to count again how many atoms are basically inside it. So if you properly see this, okay, again there is at the corner you have 1/4, okay, so density, so we have 1/4 into 4 plus because this thing is repeating like this, So the rest is shared by other such unit planes. Okay, portion of the other rectangles will share the rest. Okay, so this is one, and then we have here there is a half, and here also there is a face centered atom, so that will be shared by two such, so that will be 1 by 2 into 2. Now apart from these, there is atom belonging to the second FCC lattice, which is going to come into this, so that will be basically this one will be this and the other is this. So this will be exactly on this plane. So there are 4 such atoms which are entering in, out of which 2 of them will be aligned in this particular plane. So there is one here, so that is a little bit difficult to visualize it, but if you look at the coordinates, you will be able to see that. So but other 2 will be belonging to different planes. So this is basically coming from the second FCC lattice. From the first FCC lattice we have only this much, but then plus 2. So now this divided by root 2 a square. So that is basically, this is 1, this is also 1, and this is 4 by root 2 a square. Okay, so I think the earlier calculation, did I put the a square? Yes, okay. 2 by a square. So this is 4 by root 2. 4 by root 2 is basically, or we can say it as 2 root 2. 2 root 2 by a square. Or if you find this out, you will get it as 2 into 1.4. So that will come as 2.8 by a square. So earlier one was 2 by a square. Now we got the density as 2.8 by a square. So per a square you have 2.8 atoms. So that is the 110. Okay, so the density of 110 plane. Now coming to the density of the 111 plane. Now if you look at here, okay, so let me just read over this. Density of 111 plane. So this is basically a triangle, equilateral triangle. Okay, so it has a x intercept, y intercept, z intercept, and what is the length of this one edge? It is basically root 2a. Okay, so this is a and this is a, and therefore this diagonal will be root 2a. And same thing goes with all the diagonals, and since they are diagonal, at the center there is a atom. So this is root 2a, root 2a, root 2a, and then at the corner there is one atom, here also there is, and then there is one atom which is shaded like this. Okay, so this is basically half, whereas this one is basically 1/6. Okay, it is only 1/6. So the density is basically T is equal to, so what is the area? Area of this triangle is what? So it is half into base is root 2a, into height. What is the height? So this height is basically square root of diagonal, which is root a square minus root 2a by 2 the whole square. Okay, so that is basically half into root 2a, so I can write it as a by root 2, and here I can take a outside, so it will become a square, and inside I will have 2 minus, so root 2 by 2 is 1 by root 2, square is 1 by 2. So that is a square by root 2, and this is basically what? This is basically 2 minus half is 3 by 2, so root 3 by root 2. So it is basically root 3 by 2 square. Now, so okay, so that is basically the area. So density is what? Density is basically 1/6. This is 1/6 multiplied with there are 3 such. Okay, so to know that this is 1/6, if you just draw a line, you can see that you have similar thing here also. Okay, so each one is sharing. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it's divided. One atom is getting divided into 6 equal parts. So one portion is 1/6, and there are 3 such corners. So into 3 plus 1/2 into 2. Okay, so all the other atoms doesn't get aligned in this plane, so therefore these are the only thing, and divided by root 3 by 2. So 3 by 6, that is 1 by 2. 1 by 2 plus 1. So this is basically again this is 3 by 2. 3 by 2 into 2 by root 3 square. So that is equal to I think I made a mistake somewhere. Oh yeah, so there are 3 such half atoms. There is 3 such atoms. Okay, so this is basically 3 by 2. Okay, so 3 by 2 plus half, that is 2, which is basically equal to 4 by root 3. 4 by root 3 square. Okay, and that if you evaluate, it is 2.3 by a square. Okay, now we have the surface density of so we had 100 plane, surface density was 2 by a square, okay, which is less than 111 plane, which is 2 by 3 a square, which is less than 110 plane, which was 2.8. Some more digit may be there, but I'm just only taking up to first decimal place. Okay, so the surface density is higher here. Now, why surface density is very important? There are per unit area more number of atoms on the surface. If you consider this plane, that is 110 plane, and more number of atoms are basically unsatisfied. Unsatisfied means, so we have a crystal where the crystal structure is getting stopped at the plane. So the atoms atoms at the surface don't have any silicon atom with which it can pair from above, because this silicon crystal is ending there on the surface of the vapor. So there is no way these surface atoms can pair. So the more is okay. If the density, surface density, if the surface density is more, there are more silicon atoms which are left unpaired. Okay, and this will result in what is called as dangling bond. Dangling bond means this surface is very reactive, because silicon atoms are not able to complete its requirement by bonding, so they are very active, and so oxygen or hydrogen, if it goes around, they will basically trap these molecules or trap these atoms to its surface, and that is not very desirable when you make devices. So we have to minimize this reactivity of the surface to the minimum. Okay, and the way we can reduce by comparing the plane is like, take the plane which has the least number of unsatisfied bonds, okay, per unit area. So that is basically 100. So that is how 100 plane wafer is preferred, because it has less number of atoms which are unsatisfied on the surface, and therefore its reactivity and its trapping of impurity is relatively less compared to other. And 110 we never use. Okay, we never use this. Okay, or I can't really say never use, but we negligibly use. But 100 is what we mostly use. Okay, and 111 is somewhere in between. So this is coming from the number density on the surface per unit area, how many atoms are there, because each of those atoms on the surface of the crystal is not having any pairing mechanism with other silicon atom, because below it has, but above it doesn't have. So we know that each atom is actually part of a tetrahedron. So if there is no silicon atom to complete that tetrahedronal bond, and then they remain inactive. Okay, so here I have shown like this. So if this top atom is not there, so this center atom is not able to complete its bonding requirement. So this is like, this is one sp3, and this is second sp3, this is third sp3, and if the fourth one is not there, it can't make that sp3 bond. So therefore this atom which is above this the bottom 3 atoms, that is left unpaired, and therefore it is very highly reactive. So when you look at from any surface, we want to minimize that. So that is the idea behind in choosing this particular surface, that is preferring this particular surface 100. Okay, I'll stop here. We'll continue from here in the next class.